So, so the first thing here, let me share the screen with you. Okay, great. So let's just move to your page. What I will also do is that I will share with you the this workbook as well, so that
Yes,
you have the workbook. You can, if you want to take the print of it, that would be really great. You have the printed workbook in front of you, and you will be doing the work, right?
yes,
So
sir.
today, at the end of the class, just take that workbook from me, and you can just take a print of it, and you have it in front of you, and then you can also be writing in the same manner that I will be writing here, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
this will be the same thing then. Okay, now first and foremost, let's just talk about what we were discussing in the last class, a bit of a recap of the last class. So we talked about the first chapter, which was 1.1 scarcity twice and opportunity cost. And there we
Yes, sir.
discussed the first thing, the basic economic problem. And we discussed that resources are scarce or limited and the wants are unlimited, which
Yes, sir.
basically leads to the problem of scarcity. Then the second thing that we studied was about the needs, that what are needs? Needs are basically the necessities of life, which are, important for the survival of the
Yes, sir.
human beings, which includes the food, shelter, clothing, etc. Then we talked about the wants, that they are not important for the survival, but if they improve your lifestyle.
Yes,
Then
sir.
we talked about that if there are limited resources, what's the solution for that? Because we know the problem now, and the only solution that we have is to make a choice because the resources are still limited, so you can't have everything.
Yes, sir.
So when you are making a choice in that, you go for the things which you buy on the rational basis that. As a rational consumer, what is good for you, you talk about the features and everything, and you compare it, and then you buy it. And then on the other hand, the things that you have left, those are your regrets. So that is your opportunity cost, right? So the cost of not choosing something is basically the opportunity cost, where we did an example as well, where we discussed that, let's suppose if Tom has a choice between a 2-year master's degree and a job, and he decided to go for the degree. So job is obviously his, you know, from the job, the money that he would be earning is his opportunity cost. And we calculated the exact amount as well to show that what is the exact opportunity cost in terms of the economic value.
Yes,
Then we
sir.
talked about that is the opportunity cost faced by everyone in economy. We said yes, that if we talk about some of the economic agents, these are the economic agents. They are known as to be the decision makers or the economic agents, the consumers, workers, producers, and government. So
Yes,
consumers, yes, between the two goods. Workers, yes, between a public or a private job. Producers, yes, that what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Everywhere you see they have these opportunity costs that they are facing. When we'll study this topic later on, I will also discuss this opportunity cost concept as well there. And then
yes,
for
sir.
the government, we also said that the decisions between building more hospitals or roads, that is, the government's, what you can call it, uh, opportunity cost that they are facing, right?
Yes,
And they face the opportunity cost in many other factors as well. Now, today we are going to come to the new topic, and that is the basic questions of resource allocation. Do you
yes.
have an idea about these? Like what to
So,
produce? What is it?
it's basically when the cover. It's basically in the macroeconomics, right? These are. Wait, is it in
Yeah.
macro? Yeah. So it's basically the individuals, households, and firms, and they have to make these decisions that what they want to produce and how, like,
Mm,
what production methods they want to use, and then for whom they want to produce. It's going to be a private good or a public
mm,
good, a free good, and all of those
mm.
decisions.
Hmm. Okay, right, fine. So let's just talk about now the first thing, that is what to produce. So in that, we'll talk about what type and quantity of products to be produced, right? In
Yes.
that, we have the two types that we will be looking at. One is known as to be, the consumer good,
Yes, sir.
and the other option that we have is known as to be a capital good.
Yes, sir.
So consumer good is for end consumer,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
And this is going to, help the current generation basically.
Yes.
What does this mean that I've just said that current generation?
Current generation. Um,
Like I repeat my question, that consumer goods are basically for the current generation. What does this mean?
so if I try to relate it with what capital goods is, I can make a connection because capital
Hmm.
goods can last for like a long time. It takes time for them
Hmm.
to wear out. But a consumer good, for example, if you talk about a perishable good, it will perish. So only like the current consumers at that time who purchase it, only they can use it, not like future consumers.
Exactly. Perfect. Perfect. So they are perishable, and even if they are not, but because when we talk about a generation, we are talking about a longer time period, right?
Yes,
So 10 years from now. So the capital goods can basically be very helpful in producing the goods in the future as well,
yes,
right?
sir.
So from the capital goods production, what we can do is that we can satisfy the needs of our future generation, that in future we can make the consumer goods from that, right? But
Yes,
if
sir.
you will make all of the consumer goods, they are going to be used today only.
Yes, sir.
By today doesn't, we have to be very, we can't be very specific about it, that by today we mean today. It's
Yes,
like
sir.
that, the generation which is going on right now. So with the capital goods, you can in future, after a decade even, you can produce the goods which are the consumer goods, and those are going to satisfy the next generation, right?
Yes, sir.
So capital goods are basically, usually when we talk about the capital goods, so they are being produced for the other businesses, because the end consumer is not going to use a capital good. Why would you want to have a machine which makes the phones at home?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
You cannot have it. No, you do, because you. It's not that you cannot have it. If you have money, you can have. But
Yes,
what is the purpose? The purpose is that, for an end consumer, the purpose is to consume the good, not
yes,
to make the goods from the goods. Because if you go for the definition, the very clear-cut definition for the capital good, and that is that capital goods can be used to produce other goods and services, right?
sir.
Now we talk about how to produce. So now, you see, I was talking about the fact that, we discussed the opportunity cost, and we are now going to see that how the opportunity cost is coming into this. So for a
Yes,
private producer, if you talk about what is the opportunity cost that he's facing, he's facing the opportunity cost between producing a consumer good for the end consumer or the capital good for the other businesses. So
yes,
wherever he will find more profit, he will do that, right?
yes,
This
sir.
is one thing. Second thing is how to produce. So either the use of labor intensive production technique,
Yes, sir.
or the other thing that you have is the capital intensive production technique. So now if you compare both of the production techniques, so can you just tell me what labor intensive and capital, what is the difference between the two?
So labor intensive is basically like if the firm has a high number of labor and they have more workers and lesser machinery. And then capital
Mhm.
intensive is basically if they have more machinery, they have more equipment, and they have lesser
Mhm.
labor.
Perfect. Great. Got it. So, labor intensive, when we are talking about the labor intensive, we are going to just discuss a little bit more about the labor and the capital intensive. So, first we talk about the labor intensive. So, labor intensive productivity is the productivity where the production process is dominated by labor.
Yes, sir.
Agree with the point?
Yes, sir.
By domination does not mean that there is no machines. It's just that, it is dominated by labor, that there is more labor than the capital, the way you just said it, right? Okay, here we will talk about the advantages and disadvantages of this. So, advantages and disadvantages of labor intensive technique. Okay, I want you to just help me out in writing down the advantages.
All right, sir. So for advantages, I would say that if you see it from like an emotional perspective, they
Mhm.
will have that emotional ability, labor. But if you see it from that perspective, the capital does not have that emotional ability, which can aid in production like somewhere here or there. So that is there in labor, but that's not there in capital. And then
Mhm.
also
Okay,
we
wait for the first point. Just cutting you short here, just
yes
because
sir,
we are going to discuss one point at a time. So now
yes
you talk about you have used the word emotional ability.
yes sir,
Okay, would you care to explain it if you talk about from the point of view of the labor and the capital, the emotional ability you think is because they are human beings, so they have that emotional ability which the machines does not.
yes sir.
How does this benefit if there is what benefit the firm is getting if there is an emotional ability that the labor has?
Um
If I could say that the labor is will be more flexible compared to the capital, will it be fine
yes, yes sir, that makes
to
sense.
cater that, the term that you use, the emotional bit? Because the labor is obviously you can talk to them and ask them that, okay, fine, this is the problem, and that now the other worker is not present, so if you could just do this work instead of doing this work. So
Yes sir,
the laborers are more flexible. Is it
yes,
okay to
yes,
write? Perfect. Now, let's suppose if we talk about another advantage from the point of view of an economy, so
yes,
unemployment will be low. What do you say?
yes sir. Unemployment will be low.
Then probably if we talk about, whenever you are being asked about the advantages and disadvantages of a certain thing in economics, the best way of doing it is that if you feel like that, okay, fine, the point is not coming to my mind, what should I do? This is something I have also written in my paper pattern as well. That think about from the point of view that the advantage of this to the worker,
Yes sir.
to the producer, to the government, to the consumer. And in that way, you will have more and more of the points. So if I talk about lesser unemployment, so lesser unemployment probably is not do you think that the firms are worried about it? That there is going to be lesser unemployment?
No sir, it's beneficial for the employees.
Exactly. And secondly, it is also beneficial for the government as well.
Yes, so you have to pay
Because
less.
the government, one of the macroeconomic aims of the government that they want lower unemployment,
Yes, sir.
right? And they will
Yes,
also receive more taxes as well.
yes, sir. And they will have to pay less for unemployment benefits.
Exactly. They will have to pay less on the unemployment benefits as well. Very good. Excellent point. Okay, now moving forward to the next one. From the firm's point of view, there's one more thing that there's lower wages that they will have to pay, isn't it?
Low wages.
Usually, when you consider the factory workers, and I'm talking specifically about the unskilled workers.
Yes, sir. To them, there's low wages.
Yeah, because if you consider it an overall impact of it, probably not every type of labor is going to be inexpensive. So the skilled workers are expensive, but
Yes.
generally for the factory production where the products are being produced, there they have the lower wages that they will have to give. Okay, then one very important point: customized products. What about this?
Oh, yeah, sir. It's basically like, for example, if they decide to do like example like custom products for a customer, it's like,
Hmm.
and if a employee will specialize in that product, they can like easily make that product. But a machine, it's like a machine will obviously not be able to specialize and do like will like
Go on. You're right.
give if you give like a employee, for example, you say, oh, you have to make this like different type of pot for a customer, they can do that if they specialize, if they have the skills, and if it's like job production. But if it's capital will only make like a mass produced product, only a one type of product.
Exactly. Very good. And secondly, machines are basically, their brains are basically filled with, or their system is basically being ordered, a certain orders or certain commands are already given to the machines, and they can only fulfill those commands, and they cannot go beyond it.
Yes,
But a
sir.
worker who is, a manual worker can do that. The best example could be here about the customized cakes. So if you talk about the very, the general cakes that they are being produced, which, there's no customization which is required by the customer there. So those
Yes,
can be produced by the machines. But if a customer comes into your shop and he asks for a cake on which he wants, a bit of a theme of any any character of like the superheroes, like let's suppose he says that I want a Spider-Man theme of
yes,
customized cake. So you cannot basically ask for a machine to do that,
yes, sir.
right? So
Yes,
that is, is a big problem. So that's one of the biggest advantages of having the labor. Then you talk about the drawbacks. Now, and anything that you want to share here in the drawbacks?
drawbacks is that, sir, their custom employees don't only have the need of salary, they can have like other all of these needs that a management has to fulfill if they don't want the customers to leave, if they don't want the
Mm,
employees to leave. And for that, it's like it can increase their labor costs. For example, if they end up asking for higher wages, or they end up asking for like other benefits like holidays and stuff, it will affect the company itself. And
mm,
another one that I can say is that they can get bored, or they can get very tired if they have to do a repetitive job. So
mm.
for that also, the um, business may have to change or alter things, and that can be expensive for the business only itself.
Exactly. And brilliant point, the first one that you gave, no? It's a brilliant point because, one thing about the human beings, they are unpredictable,
Yes, sir.
right? So machines are hardly unpredictable in a way that they break down. That's it. So
Exactly.
you can fix it. But the laborers, if you talk about the human beings, they are unpredictable. And the biggest problem that the firms can face, having a dominated labor force in their production process is the trade union.
Yes, sir. Trade unions.
And trade union pressure includes all the things that you discussed, like they fight for the higher wages, they will ask higher wages, they will go on a strike, they want better working conditions, right?
Yes.
So they can basically question them about dismissal of a worker that they claim that that is being unfair or something like that. So all of those things for which they fight for are not good for the firm,
Yes, sir.
especially if they go on a complete strike where the whole production process is at halt.
Yes, sir.
Then, yes, I agree, the boredom is a problem because same task again and again they are doing.
Yes, sir.
Then it is, what about the quality of the product? Will it be standard? I'm not saying that the workers cannot make a quality product. If you consider that if there are certain products that a producer is producing, which if they are considered to be as customized, they are going to support in a way. How they are going to support through the labor is that, let's suppose you talk about the tailors, let's say.
Yes, sir.
So the tailors are the ones. If you talk about the tailors, so tailors, what they need to do is that they have to make a customized dress.
Yes, sir.
And those, they are not like you say that they do not produce quality products. So you have many of the designers who are the world famous designers, and they design well. They think about the new ideas and creativity that they have, which a
Yes, sir.
machine cannot think of even, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
that is something that the specialized workers can only do. I'm not, so that's why I've just clarified this point that I'm not talking about the quality of a product.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking that whether the quality will be standardized or not. What do we mean by that when we say that the quality is not going to be standardized?
But sir, for every consumer, it won't be like consistent. It will be
Yes,
changed.
exactly. Right? That the
Yes,
quality is not yes, the quality is not standardized. So not having a standardized quality means that there is a problem,
yes,
right?
sir.
So this is something very important. So now, so this is, this standardization is very important. When you are mass producing,
Yes,
you cannot basically, how can you rely on a worker to mass produce? If you
yes,
have a
sir.
big brand, you try to understand this point over. If you have a very big brand and you want to sell your products to masses,
Yes, sir.
would you want it that the quality is not the same? Some people receive a better quality product and the others received a bit of a lower quality. Can you just, will you be satisfied with that? Will you bear that thing?
No, sir. It's going to be like very bad for the consumer side. Like they will be very disappointed.
Exactly. And that is going to question you. That will be a big question on your brand image.
Yes, sir.
That some of the people received the units which were, of the same quality. But then again, there were some people who received the products which were having a better quality. So that
Yes,
is, they cannot afford this variations in the quality, right?
yes, sir.
Then the next point is illness is a big point.
Yes, sir. Illness.
Worker can get ill and they may not be able to work for 24 hours. So you
Yes,
might
sir.
have to have two shifts as well. So that is again a problem. And then what about the wastage of resources? Do you believe that the wastage of resources is more with the machines or with the labor?
So definitely with the labor because they can make errors.
Yes. Exactly. So they will be making the errors, which is not a small thing. So when they will be making the errors, they will be making we also talk about these things in business as well, that there are certain things that we talk about, like we talk about the if I go on with only only one part of it, and that is the quality control.
Yes,
The
sir.
quality control is that when you have produced the product at the end of the production line, you check the product, and if the quality is not maintained, or there are errors, or there are, there are some problems with the machine. So
Yes, sir.
then the problem is the problem that you will face because of this is that the quality will not be maintained.
Yes, sir.
You understand that the
Yes, sir.
quality will not be, maintained. And secondly, the problem is that when you see a product at the end of the production line and you say that the quality is not good enough, or there are some major mistake in the product, so will you be, if you send it back to modify it, or for the smaller products, you cannot modify them again. And if you do
Yes,
that, so, you will not be able to have a good final finished good. So, what you do in that case is that you scrap the good, the whole good that you have produced. So, it's a lot of wastage of the resource.
yes, sir.
That is something which you will not have it in the capital intensive method, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, moving to the capital intensive. So I have, Sami, we have talked in a complete detail about this. We are talking in more of a detail about this labor and capital intensive is because that you will also see an 8 or a 12, even a 12-mark question can come regarding that. So you
Yes,
should
sir.
have enough of the material to discuss there as well. And in comparison, specifically. So now
Yes,
if we talk about the capital intensive, so here the production process is dominated by capital, right? So production process is dominated by, rather than writing capital, we can also write the machines to make it simple that what it is all about. Now, if we talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of this, so what could be the advantages and what could be the drawbacks? So first, the advantages.
so, sir, the advantages again will be that there will be a standardized product if you are to mass produce.
Yes. And
And
in this advantage of yours that you have talked about, that there will be standardization if you have to mass produce. Mass production itself is a feature of a capital intensive productivity.
yes, sir.
Right. What else? Mass production and this, quality standards are same.
Yes, sir.
What else?
Also, sir, the machines can work like 24/7, so they can have like a lot of output compared to
Perfect.
employees.
Mhm. You just carry on. I just appreciate you, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop. Right?
Okay, sir.
24-hour production, yes.
Then there can also be there'll be no illness, so there will be no holidays. So there will be a continuous line of production. There will be also lesser errors.
Less
Workers will
wastage of
say,
resources. That is important.
yes,
Less errors or wastage of resources. Because, the previous point that you gave now about the illness, that can be covered up in the 24-hour production as well.
yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. What about the drawbacks?
So I think the drawbacks, the first one is that there is a high initial cost. Like there's a high cost to buy
Brilliant.
machinery and also to set it up. After that, it can decrease costs because of economies of scale, but before that, it can, in the short run, have huge cost for the business.
Exactly. High initial investment
Yes, sir.
Second thing that you will face with the drawback, other than the high initial investment, as a
Uh,
drawback, what could be that?
so I'm not sure about this one, but it's like over time the machinery can wear out, and if that's like your one solo thing that you are using for production, it can halt all of your production until the time that you can fix it, and those costs of fixing it will also be like really expensive.
Hmm. Okay, one thing that I, want to talk about it here is that when you are saying that there is high maintenance cost, so
Yes,
there
sir.
is one thing very particular that you have to talk about, that you are saying that the machinery wear out, right?
Yes, sir.
So the worn out machinery needs a replacement. So there are
Yes,
two type of costs that you will have to face there. One is the maintenance cost,
yes, sir.
right? So
Yes.
maintenance cost is there. I'm just keeping it short. And second thing, which is very similar, attached to this, the replacement
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah.
cost. So both the things are there, na? That
Yes.
if even if you sometimes maintain, it still is going to wear out. Na? It has a life. It
Yes, sir.
cannot go beyond that. And then you talked about the halting of the productivity. The halt of the
Yes.
productivity may also be because of the electricity breakdown. What do you think?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because of the electricity.
And this is, but this, if you are writing a point like this now, uh,
Yes.
you see, the a Cambridge examiner who will be checking it, where he might not in a country where he will be living, he might not face the issue of the electricity breakdown, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
So, so when you will be pointing this out, so you will have to say very specifically that in some of the developing countries you might face the electricity issue,
Oh, okay, okay, sir. Yes.
right? So that
Yes.
basically results in the electricity breakdown. Then what else? Unemployment, a big cost.
Oh, yes, sir. Unemployment.
That will result in lower taxes for the government, supporting the unemployed by the with the unemployment benefit, the
Yes,
loss of income, the loss of skills, and then the more criminal and violent activities are also going to, increase because of that, because many of the people will be unemployed for a very long time period.
yes, sir. Also, will trade unions not like try to work or like fight for the unemployment?
But then again, the problem with this point is that although this gives us another drawback, whenever you discuss something, now another drawback comes, which is also good. So that's why it is said that always try to discuss the thing. So I will tell you about the point and plus the point that you have given. You see, one problem is that when you say that there will be a trade union in a
Yes,
company which is very much dominated by the capital intensive methods,
yes, sir.
there will be lesser labor.
Yes, sir.
Lesser labor means that their power will be less. One
Oh,
thing,
yes, sir.
they will not have enough of the power to just, you know, uh, if you want to bargain on something with another person, you must have something solid to bargain about.
Yes, sir.
So if you will try to threaten them, what will happen? They will say, okay, fine, the work is done by the machines. What are you doing? Okay, fine, you can go. I can have another worker instead of you.
Oh, yes, sir. That depends.
Now, the other problem, if you say, now I'm just continuing my discussion from here, that if you say, sir, he cannot just kick me out just because that I am a skilled worker,
Yes, sir.
and skilled workers cannot be easily replaced. I will agree to this point. But then
Yes,
there is another problem, that the skilled worker will not never make a trade union. Most of the times they do not make a trade union unless They have, but I do not say that there are no trade unions of the skilled workers. There are, like you talk about the white collar unions, there are white collar unions. But a
Yes,
skilled worker is usually paid very high
yes, sir.
to work on those machines. So they will already be satisfied with the wages that they will be getting.
Yes, sir.
So the problem here that we can write because of all of this discussion is the high cost of the skilled labor,
Yes, sir.
right? So high cost of skilled labor is a point that we can write here. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Brilliant. Now we are going to move on to for whom to produce. This is the third thing that we have to do, and there our chapter will be done. Okay.
Oh, okay, sir.
So for whom to produce? What do you think about this?
For whom to produce? So I'm not sure, but there are goods that are like there's inferior goods, there's luxury goods, there's normal goods. So is this talking about that, or is it talking about like a private good or a public good?
Could be, could be. You can talk about. Okay, fine. I just make it easy for you. Uh, if you are talking about a private sector firm,
Yes, sir.
what is their aim when they are producing a good? For whom they
So
are producing the goods?
they will produce just for consumers who are able to buy because their main aim is profit.
Brilliant, brilliant. So they will be producing for those who can afford to pay.
Yes, sir.
Whereas if I talk about a public sector firm,
Public sector will provide for the general public because their main aim is not profit, their main aim is the welfare of the society and of the public. So they can even give a good for free because they just want people to have that equality. They want everyone to have that good because it might be something that we need, but if you can't afford to pay, it gets produced by the public sector.
okay. If you said that they would probably be giving the good for free. So can I call it that the public sector produces free goods?
They're not always free though, the public sector goods. They can have a cost. Like for example, in UAE, there's a metro. It's a
Hmm.
it's a public good, but it's you still have to pay for it. But it is cheaper compared to like for example, if you take
Hmm.
your own car and use your own car. So I think that's like a comparison because a car is produced by private companies,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
because yeah, I don't really know how to explain it that well, but
Hmm. No, but there is a problem with this as well, no?
yes,
However,
sir.
the problem you try to understand this thing that when you say that, okay, fine, they are producing, they are charging money, but they are charging a very low price. That's what you said,
Yes, sir.
right? But there are public goods for which they are not charging anything.
Yes, sir. They are public goods.
So can I call them a free good? Can I call it a free good?
I
I'm
think
just tricking you a bit. Think about it first and then answer. I'm tricking you here. Can I call it a free good? What should I call it? Let's suppose if a government is the providing a good for free to people. So what should I call it? Should I call it a free good?
no, sir. I just remembered free good is something which is not scarce. It's something unlimited. I just remembered. That's not a free good.
Mm.
I think what
What are the
public is
characteristics of a free good?
free good are if you, for example, you use it, it will not it's not scarce basically, and it doesn't use scarce resources. For example, the sun. It's not going to like ever end, right? It's not like in scarce
Mm.
quantity, and it's also like
Okay.
everyone gets the equal use of the sun. It's not rival
Mm.
or
Mm.
excludable. It's not both
Okay.
of those things. But then if you talk about a public good is also non-rival and non-excludable. But if you're talking about a quasi-public good, that can have one of the two things.
Yeah, either it could be a non-rival or it could be a non-excludable, but the other thing is rival or excludable. I agree to
Yes,
that.
sir.
I completely agree to what you are saying. So that's why if a government is producing a good, you talked about all of the things, all of the things that you have mentioned about the free good as well. Those are right. Like when you talk about a free good, yes, free good does not require any resources to produce it, right?
Yes,
There is no price to pay for that good, and there
yes,
is no opportunity cost. If you are using it, nobody else can use it. It's not like that you are using it, you go out and you have the vitamin C from the sun. Is it vitamin C? Is it vitamin D or C? C
it's
or D?
vitamin C, sir.
It's D?
Yes, sir.
I'm very bad at science, so sorry for that.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so so you are getting that vitamin, whatever the type of vitamin the sun is producing for you. You are
Yes,
taking it. It doesn't affect my if my use of the sun for the same vitamin, because I can also go out and have it because there's no opportunity cost to it.
yes,
But in a public good, yes, with the quasi public good, there is a problem that the rivalry and non-rivalry or the non-excludability sort of a thing.
yes,
But there's one more thing that you must add here is that if you talk about a public park,
yes,
you
sir.
enter into that park, I enter into that park, we both are not paying for it.
Yes, sir. Oh, there's a
That,
free rider problem,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
what is the problem? Come
the
again?
free rider problem.
Yes, the free rider problem is there
Yes, sir.
because there is someone paying for it. There
Yes, sir.
is someone paying for it because government is not producing that park. One thing is that it why it cannot be considered as a free good is that it requires resources to produce it.
Yes, sir.
Sun does not require any resource to produce. Air does not require any resource to produce, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
there is one difference. Second difference is that you do not have to pay for it. Yes, you are not paying for it. However, you are not paying for it when you enter.
Yes,
But the government is basically has produced it from the tax money.
yes, that you
That
pay.
is a tax money. That is the tax that somebody, if not you, somebody else paid for it.
Okay, yes, sir.
There will be somebody indirectly paying for that.
Yes,
These are
sir.
the two things which are very important here. And sometimes that the opportunity cost, sorry, yeah, the opportunity cost also comes in there in a way
Yes,
that if you are using it, somebody else may not be able to use it. So for some products, it can happen, like the toll plaza thing, that you are on a big highway and you have to pay for the a very little amount that you have to pay to enter into that highway,
yes,
to
sir.
just pass on from that highway. But that, although that amount is very less, but again the point is that if you do not have the money,
Yes, sir. You
he
won't be able.
might ask you to just turn around, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is the reason that those are known as to be the public goods, not the free goods,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. So a lot of concept being discussed there, right?
Yes, sir.
So how goods are allocated? What do we mean by allocation of like how goods are or the resources are allocated? What do we mean by that?
Allocated, sir. It's like how are they divided for like what type
Exactly.
of goods? They're divided
Exactly.
in different types of goods.
Exactly. Exactly. Fine. So who gets more shares? Uh, you go to a private school, right?
Yes, sir.
So if do you believe that the owner of that school would probably set up a school like that in a very rural area where there is a village? Will he do that?
I don't think so, sir. No.
Why?
So the first thing is that it's rural, so many of the people might be low paid people, so they might not be
Hmm.
able to pay and afford the fees,
Hmm.
and so that because of that, and their main aim is profit, so he won't have that. he's gonna think I'm gonna go in a loss because I won't get as much as I am going to spend to open this.
Exactly. Go on, go on.
So then they will not open it in the rural area. They will open it in a city, in a place with high population, because there will
Mm.
be many people who can afford, be many people with jobs, and they'll be able to pay.
Exactly. Perfect. Perfect answer. So that's why a private sector will only produce for those who can afford to pay.
Yes, sir.
But whereas the same thing that you were also talking about, the public sector, when we talk about,
Yes, sir.
so public sector is basically going to, for the their aim is the welfare, and the other one's aim is the profit maximization. So let me just write it in bracket, profit maximization. Okay. So
Yes,
for the welfare they are producing, so they produce for those who may not afford. Now, when we use this term that they aren't they producing for the rich, because they are producing for everyone. A rich
yes,
person cannot come and buy that product.
yes, sir.
He cannot buy it. Why he cannot buy it? It's a public sector thing. Like it's a public hospital. Let's suppose it's a state hospital. Why a
Yes,
rich person cannot enter and have his, whatever the services he wants? Why can't
yes.
he have it?
Um, the rich person
Well, like
being.
I want to ask that can he have it or not?
So I don't. I'm not sure, but I've never seen that happen. That someone just goes and buys a government good. I don't think that's like allowed.
Exactly. That is the point. The rich people are not basically, they are not being, they are, it's not like that they are not being welcome in a public hospital. They are also welcome. It's just that the rich person would never go there.
Yes, sir.
So automatically, that service remains for those who cannot afford. If you
Yes,
can
sir.
afford, if they have reduced the prices of the government has reduced the prices of the fares of the bus. If you
Yes,
have
sir.
your own conveyance, you would not use a bus, even though the fare is low now,
Yes, sir.
even though the government is providing that facility. But who will basically use it? So those who cannot afford the other thing. So the government does not have to just mark a line that the rich people cannot have it and the poor people can have it. That is not going to happen,
Yes, sir.
right? But
Yes, sir.
there are certain things where this can be applied. Like if government starts a program, let's suppose they come up with a program which is say which we which says that okay, fine, we are. I give you an example from Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
Like here, there was this on the name of one of the very famous politician here,
Yes,
Benazir. So from the People's Party, they started up a program as a when they were in they were in power. So they
yes,
started up a program known as to be the Benazir Income Support Program.
yes, sir.
So that was a program which was basically specified for those who have the income lower than 25 or 20,000 rupees. They will be given a certain amount of money through which they can buy they can do the grocery for the month.
Okay, sir.
So there you deliberately stop that somebody who is rich, somebody who is from the middle income, do not come and ask for that I also need it. He will not be allowed to have it because
Yes,
he is
sir.
not falling under the criteria of that business income support program. You
Yes, sir.
understand that?
Yes, sir.
So that is something where the government can do it. Otherwise, there's nothing. It's for free. The rich people are automatically not going to utilize those services, right? So
Yes,
the only the poor are going to have it. So because the rich person would not want to have his kid go to a public hospital for the vaccination, because he will see that there are other kids as well there, and there is a long queue there. He will also have to wait for a very long time. So he would probably not do that, and he has the money and he can go to a private hospital where there is more facilities and everything is there, so he can go there and have this facility being taken, right?
Yes, sir.
So this is it for today. We are done with the chapter.
All right, sir. That's good.
Okay, so Ava, anything about this chapter that you haven't understood, which I've taught?
Um, no, sir, I don't think so. Everything was really clear. The way you speak is very clear, so I just understood everything.
Okay, great. That's great. That's great. I'm happy with that. Okay, so end of topic 1.1 MCQs. So now, hmm, I am going to do what I love to do. And what would that be? Can you guess?
Hmm.
Giving homework to
What?
my
Okay, okay.
students.
Okay, that's homework. Okay.
So, if I ask you to complete chapter 1 MCQs, will you be able to do that?
Yes, sir, easily. It's fine.
Perfect, perfect. So, how many MCQs are there? I can just show you. Just 25. Not a big deal,
Yes, sir. That's
right?
fine. Yes,
So
sir.
25 MCQs before our next class on Friday, I guess is going to be good enough,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first I'll just stop the recording and then I will also share this workbook with you.
All right.
Um, what is this? Okay, okay, fine. So